Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Home Dad Chat. I'll tell you what, it has been a day. Weather's getting colder, clouds are staying grayer, and it's become very much a challenge to find the joy to get through the day some days. But getting to come on here and hang out with one of my buddies who brings me joy whenever we get to talk is always a definite plus. So it's always nice to be able to connect with Danny, pour a drink, and share a conversation. How are you doing tonight, man?
And garbage. The whole day has been no. It has been a year already. It seems like it's just like the
Awesome
2022 is here, and it's like it is just 2022. You know, like
TOO.
That's right.
Is that or part due? Is that what we're
Right? Yeah, part two. Yeah. But no, it's fine. It's good. There's a lot of stuff about just coming out of the last year, and I think every year we kind of overdo it for the holidays, even if we're staying home.
right?
But we put out more energy. Basically, we do more things around the house, or we cook more, even though we cook a lot already. I should say I cook more. But we eat horrible. I call that time between Christmas Day and New Year's Eve just a lawless wasteland full of cheese, and that's just
True.
where we're at, because we don't care what we eat. We'll get snacks, we'll get, we ordered food out a couple times, DoorDash or whatever, which is fairly unusual for us. So we haven't been eating well, and it's just kind of like, I think I've had too much cheese, and then I eat more cheese, because Wisconsin's what we do.
Yeah.
But it's fine, actually. We're looking forward to a big year and a lot of changes coming in and getting used to Wisconsin in the snow and in the winter. I'm excited about that. The kids are not as excited, maybe. They do have to get up early in the morning, and like the older two have to walk to the bus stop, and it's about a half mile, I think, and it's in the snow. And it was
up hills both ways.
-4. It was -4 the other day when they left the house, and I'm like,
Burr.
and I couldn't decide at that point. I'm like, okay, so I don't want to be the soft parent. I don't want to spoil my kids. I want them to understand the hardship of it all. But at the same time, it's -4, but the wind wasn't too bad. And I'm like, I just don't know. Should I let them walk, or should I drive them over and just sit with them? And they, of course, they just wanted me to drive them over because they're kids and they don't want to push out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
But so, I ended up doing it too, because I didn't want to be the soft parent, but at the other end of the extreme, I didn't want to be that guy like, oh my God, you push your kids. Everybody was out there in their cars and your kids are staying. I had to put them in my, let them get in my car with me or something.
You're like, oh, this was the right choice.
Right. Yeah. So I'm like, no, I'm going to just go. And I was the only one, and that's fine. And there are 3 other kids that come up, and, they all hang out at the bus stop, and they're making fun of my kids on the bus for being lazy and being soft and everything. And I'm like, I think I may have made an error in that one. I should have just let him go. But at the same time, without knowing how bad it was going to be, I don't want to, because it could, hypothermia, or they lose a finger, or it strips the skin off their face. I don't know. Just all the bad things you could think of happening. Right. So we've got that, and then getting used to what's coming, because it will be like a high of 0 pretty soon.
Yeah.
And it'll go days without it getting above 0. And that just boggles my mind, and so how I put the kids out, and the littles, their bus stop is right here across this, like just the neighbor's house across the street. So
Nice.
I just held them in, they're 7, and then Marcus will be 9 actually tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, 7 and 9, you just stay in the house till we see the bus, and then you run out and get on the bus. We're not going to hang out in the -degrees weather and play or whatever. So, and they'll be fine. And once they've figured that out too, because the older kids have never experienced it, with the little kids experiencing it, they'll go, in elementary school. And then as they grow up, they'll be like, yeah, it's cold, but we can handle this.
Right. They'll get it figured out. It's all good.
Yeah. And I will too, hopefully. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. You're just getting used to a new habitat. So
Bingo.
eventually you'll acclimate. It'll be all good. So, but I mean,
and that's
So, well, kind of going into school thing a little bit. It's kind of funny. So you put in your calendar when Christmas break ends and that kind of thing. Well, on Monday, on the 3rd, we were like, yeah, like we're great, we're ready, we're excited to get the kids back to school. We, everything was all good to go, and got around. Things were running pretty well, and one of the one little boy that I usually take over to preschool, because his mom and dad are teachers in different parts of the city. They didn't show up, and I'm like, what? Like, this is weird. Like, where are you guys? And so like I text him. I'm like, hey, are y'all coming? Like, what's going on? And she's like, he doesn't have school today. And I'm like, what? And I pulled my phone, I look at my calendar, and I'm like, honey. She's like, what? I'm like, we screwed up. I was like, school doesn't start till tomorrow. She's like, nuh-uh. And I'm like, it's right here. It says Christmas break till 1-3. And we're like, oh my gosh. Like, kids were all ready to go. Like, they were they coats on. Like, we were about to go get in the car that had been warming up for 15 minutes. And it's like, oh my goodness. We're like, well, guess there's no school. And I like collective from like everybody. And we're like, all right, kids, like, go ahead and get out of your uniforms and put on some comfy clothes, and whatever you want to do, go do it. I don't care. like I need to eat breakfast. I've been up since 6 o'clock just getting you guys around.
That's right.
So yeah, that was pretty funny. And I found out I wasn't the only one though. I mean, there was another couple of guys I saw post stuff about that.
Why would you not start back on Monday? That just blows my. It's the beginning of the week. Let's get back to school.
Doesn't make sense to me at all. I didn't. I was like, what are we waiting on here, folks? Let's get this engine going. So oh well, learn my lesson there. I'll have to make sure to check my calendar.
Of course,
not just go off of like Monday it starts. No, it doesn't. Not always. So, which actually, there's a couple other schools here in town that don't even start, I think, until tomorrow. I don't know. Like, they've really pushed it out. I don't. Yeah. I mean, some of it's being pushed out COVID related, but I think some of it, like, for whatever reason, they have these really wonky schedules. So like, whatever, I guess, especially with the fact that there's snow on the way for the first time around here. Like, like, oh, you get to go to school for one day, and I guarantee you're not going to school the next day. So like, guarantee it. An inch of snow drops in this city, man, and everything's shut down because nobody knows how to drive or whatever. So, but yeah. But I mean, so along with all of that, I mean, it can be interesting being a dad, like getting stuff around. You and I were talking just about the fact that, we're kind of in a place where we're just trying to figure out how to move through the motions right now. It's not a super joyous time. We didn't really have like a topic picked out for tonight. So we kind of, kicked the ball around the room and came up with something. And I love what you came up with. And I kind of want to throw it to you and give you the kickoff for it.
Sure. And well, basically, like you said, because we were both just kind of in a funk, just not really ready to just jump in and start, there's a lot of things going on that have been a little bit negative or a little bit draining or just tiring. And, the kids being home for 2 weeks,
right.
And a day for you. But it's really easy to slip into that. And the thing for me that has always kept me going and really is like a buoy to me once I get into a position is to remember how much I enjoy it. Yeah. What I love about it, what I like about being a dad, what I like about being a primary caretaker and an at-home dad. And I, like my absolute favorite thing is kind of hard to pin down because it's somewhat situational. Sometimes this thing is great, and other times, it's not so great. But my first thought was I made a kind of a promise to myself that I would do my best to teach my kids everything that I know. Right. And that's a lot
for me,
well, but you think about it, like, how do you program a thermostat, or how do you use a thermostat, in the house?
I don't want them to know how to do that because then they're going to change the thermostat.
You got to wait till they're 18, right?
Yeah.
But it's a simple thing, right? but a lot of people get out of their house and get to even college or what have you, and they don't know how to do things like that.
Oh, sure.
You know, and the old thing would be like, how do you change a tire? How do you change your oil? You know, things like that. And I think changing a tire is probably the thing that most people would say that, you know, that's what lesson would you teach your kids? You know, how to change a tire.
That's like the dad
cool.
lesson.
It is the dad lesson, right? Or how to play catch, you know. I don't really know how to play catch, but you know, I teach my kids. And whatever, you know, part of the spectrum that falls on for you as, you know, what your skill set is, because a lot of us were never taught anything by our parents,
right?
You know, or by our dad. You know, our dad either wasn't there or it just wasn't his thing, or he didn't know. You know, we've had generational issues with people who basically their grandfather had passed early or left or what have you, never taught their dad anything. And then their dad's like, I don't know how to do that. I can't teach you how to do that.
Right.
But with the eruption of YouTube over the last decade or two, we have the ability to kind of look up anything.
Oh,
you know,
sure. Yeah.
just
I mean, that
find
was
the
proven
information
by,
about it. So
yeah. I mean, that was proven by what we were talking about last episode with the immune system stuff. Like I got really curious about this, you know, this channel that you were talking about, and pulled it up, and, you know, I was like, hey, check this out. And it's very colorful. It's got amazing animation and stuff to it. And so like, I was like, hey, like, let's watch this. And kids were glued on it. I'm like,
right.
I was actually enjoying it. It was like, there's a lot of really good information here, stuff I don't even remember learning or whatever.
Right.
So
that's
always nice too, when you can sit there and enjoy it with your kids
and seeing them light up, you know, and seeing them hit that moment. Oh, that's why ducks float, or, you know, whatever thing it might be or whatever. And then a lot of times too, because he doesn't really dumb down his speech. You know, he explains the words, but he uses words that you would talk to an adult.
Yeah.
And I love that because, you know, I never talk to my kids. I never use like baby talk to them or anything like that. Yeah. I always just talk to them like I would talk to an adult, with an understanding of what their vocabulary was. You know, I didn't expect them to know all the words I know, basically, but being able to keep them reasonably in the conversation. And that's what he does. And you can tell he's just got a teacher's heart.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was talking about infections, and he got into talking about COVID and how like that works. And I felt like he did such a great job just explaining it on like a really basic level, but like high level, that when we finished watching it, my son turned to me and was like, wow, like I learned a lot there. Like I didn't know this and that about, you know, how illnesses work. And it was just like, yeah, that's how our body defends things. And so it was cool, because like I'm like, this is stuff you might not learn until high school. So to be in third grade and be watching it and actually enjoy it and picking that up, like your son, you know, wanting that book, that's an amazing step. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Who are you, kid?
Well, that's the thing I was telling you. Like, you know, my son was like, "Hey, I want that book. Like, that looks." I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go."
Like, does it have a lot of pictures? What are we doing?
Yeah, no kidding. I'm like, this is gonna get interesting. So who knows?
Well, if you don't mind, if we say who that is, and
yeah,
I mean, so the book that we're talking about is called Immune. And I looked it up just right now because I remember his name, but it's called A Journey into the Mysterious System That Keeps You Alive. And I'm like, how would you not want to read that book? And it's by Philip Dettmer, Dettmer, just so our listeners will have the name. And he does have an amazing YouTube channel whose name I can't really pronounce.
It's very hard to pronounce, but
is it a German word? I think it's a German word.
It's totally a German word. And I actually put the link in the show notes for last week's episode. So
perfect.
You can go there and it'll take you straight to the page. I think the best way, because so the word for the channel is German, but it's in a nutshell. I don't know if that's what it translates to.
That would make sense.
It says off to the side of it is in a nutshell. So that would make sense. Like that's. But there's just so many. Yeah, he goes into so many different things. I mean, he talks about dinosaurs in one episode. Deep sea and stuff like that. So he's not just in the immune system. He's going into like all kinds of scientific realms and and the best part is like I said, the animation is awesome. Like it really is good. It's colorful. It's super good quality. And then on top of it too, as an adult, it's not kiddish. Like it's very high level. Like you could sit there and,
Mhm.
you think you're very smart after watching it. So, I mean, he's got
Yeah.
stuff in here on wormholes and alien horror. And
Right.
like, I mean, he's got so much stuff, nuclear death, black holes. These are things that like,
Yeah.
as adults, like
This-
we might talk about just goofing off, like kind of thing. Maybe like when it comes
Mhm.
to like, comic book type stuff, because some
Yeah.
of that's part of that, but
Or the heat death of the universe.
right.
And my
Right.
8-year-old comes and he goes, Dad, what do you think about the heat death of the universe? I know it's a long, like millions and millions of years from now, but what would you? And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm gonna need to. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
The universe is not going to die. What are you talking about? Where are we going? But again, it's like billions and billions of years in the future or something like that. Yeah, and he now again, he didn't grasp it completely. And of course, you'd want to be careful with anything your kids are watching. If that might be something that would scare them or freak them out. My kids are aware of things like that, like the heat death of the universe, and they're okay with talking about it, and they can put it off and not take it too personal and like wreck themselves. But
I think though, like for like the immune system one specifically, like it's like a animation of a kid, and I felt like, to me, there have been times where my son and daughter have asked me questions about why am I feeling this way, or how this, and it's like, you could pull this up on your TV while they're laying there sick on the couch or whatever, and be like, let's watch this together, and then have a better understanding of it. So to me, like, that's the one I think if any dads, are listening and being like, my kid wants to know this and I don't have to explain it to him because I'm not a doctor. Well, this is the video. That's the video to watch for sure. So
yeah.
And
the type of like educational viewing that you can, because there's always been some sort of a stigma about the screen. They used to call the TV the idiot box back in the
tube.
The boob tube. There you go. Yeah.
And, I only know that one because that's my dad's trucker name. That is my dad's trucker name. He is known as the boob tube. Yep.
I don't want to know.
It's because he likes TV. It's because he loves TV. So that's where it comes from. It's like Mike TV from Willy Wonka.
Nice. Yeah. I love that guy. But for the negatives about putting your kid in front of a screen are there. I mean, it's definitely, we want to be careful. We be mindful. We want to, screen time, figure out, what you want to let your kids do and all that. But on the other end of it is it's so valuable for education. Yeah. Because like you said, that the illustration, the animation on these, and the way that it's all presented, and the big thing for me has been with my kids is dynamic learning. Yeah. We're not going in and learning today. We'll learn arithmetic, or whatever, like I did when I was a kid, and the ability to give them things and basically just say, okay, let's I don't know, let's look it up and let's learn about why you're sick and what's going on, in your body. And it is an amazing resource. And also, honestly, because we're coming into the winter months and we've got a lot of time that we're going to be spending inside together. Yeah. Once you run out of puzzles and board games, you can easily, flip on something that's going to be educational. And again, you can sit there and watch it with them and learn.
Definitely. Yeah. There's so many different things there. And too, like, you're talking about, answering questions and stuff like that. It just reminds me of, there used to be a podcast a long time ago, back when I first became a stay-at-home dad, that Pat Jacobs and another stay-at-home dad did, called Why Daddy. And they would take questions and they would dive deep into, well, why is it called foosball or something along those lines, and like get deep into what it was. It was really neat how they did it. But I feel like this is like a higher level to answer a lot of those kind of questions too. To me, that's the thing that's great, is that, like you were saying, that you got things like the YouTube to really show those kind of things off. I think for me though, talking about like, what do you like about being a dad? For me, I like the ability to drop sort of the responsibility mantle and show my kids that I can be fun, and I'm not all like, no, don't do that, stop this, do that kind of thing. And so to be able to do things like, hey, like, let's pull out the old Super Nintendo and learn how to play it. And you were talking about like teaching your kids something. So go back and think about like if you played video games. Which did you play video games when you were a kid? I know you do now, right?
Oh
So
yeah, like
yeah.
crack, man.
Okay.
Yeah, everything I
So
get my hands on.
so I really wasn't taught. Like it's not like my dad sat me down and taught me how to play,
Mm-mm.
a cross finger AB button setup on a remote. That's just not, they didn't have that. Like they had Atari,
Mhm.
which was a joystick and a thumb
Yeah,
button, like
yeah,
barely.
yeah.
Or
Tanks.
you had a pad with a turning knob or whatever for Pong. And so you hold this remote control in your hand, and it's so different. And I just, for me, like, I pick it up and it's just like getting on a bicycle. Like you're going around making Mario jump and all this stuff, no big
Mhm.
deal. I gave it to him, and I'm watching him like walk, and he's trying to figure out how to like look at the buttons. I'm like, no, you can't look at the button. You can't look at the remote. You got to look at the TV,
Mhm.
and you got to be able to know where these buttons are. And I was just getting him to just like walk and hit the B button to jump. Like that was it. That's all I was trying to. And he was having such a difficult time trying to figure it out. And I'm sitting there going, breathe. like this
It's
is
a
new
teaching
territory.
moment, man. It's a teaching moment.
It's totally a teaching moment. But you know what? The thing I found very interesting, he could have gave up. He could have got pissed and threw the remote or
Mhm.
whatever. And
Yeah.
he didn't. Like he literally enjoyed just walking, running, jumping, and dying. Like
Mhm.
that. I mean, and just over and over and over again. And he eventually finished the first level, like the first like
Nice.
Mario 1-1.
GG.
But it was one of those things where it took a lot for him to figure it out. And I'm hoping that, it seemed like he enjoyed himself, but I'm hoping
Mhm.
that like he'll keep picking up on or whatever, because he likes to play other games. But typically, like video games nowadays on a tablet is just a finger, moving them around kind of deal. So you
Yeah.
don't have all the other stuff. So that to me was great joy, just to be able to have that time with him and
Mhm.
try to teach him a few things with that. And like I said, it was something that my dad didn't teach me, and it wasn't because he wouldn't teach me.
Right.
Actually, my dad learned right along with us
Mhm.
because we got a Super Nintendo. Actually, we had the Nintendo first, and his big game was Tetris. And so, we played Tetris against him all the time. And Dr. Mario, because that was like another
Yeah,
version of
Dr.
Tetris.
Mario was great.
Yeah. And so he learned right along with us. So it wasn't like
Mhm.
There was any teaching going on there so much. So it's interesting being in this generation where it's like, wow, I'm like teaching my kid how to use this remote control. Like
Mhm.
this is totally different. So for me, that's, I wouldn't call that like the highest highlight, but it's definitely one of those things that
Mhm.
I love the ability to just unplug and be a
Mhm.
kid, I guess is the best way to put it, with my kids.
And passing on traditions, is a big part of what being a dad is giving your kids the things that, and granted, they may not like them, like your favorite movie, they may never watch your favorite movie, or they may make fun of it even or whatever.
We
But-
did watch my favorite movie actually last week.
Yeah. And how'd the kids handle it? Were
Oh, they
good?
loved it. Yeah, it was the
Okay.
Goonies. So
Oh, that's hard to, yeah, that's hard to not love. Yeah.
yeah, they
So-
all the action and different things, and
Mhm.
just the kids acting goofy. And I had to explain to the kids, I'm like, hey, listen, like these kids are older than you, so they're going to use some language that's maybe a little bit outside of what you're used to, but I mean, it's fun. And they had a good time with it. So
Yeah. My kids, I'd be like, yeah, these kids are a little older than you, and going into caves will get you killed. Don't do it. Because my kids will be, there's probably treasure in here. There's not. No, these have all been plumbed to their depths. There's no treasure left. It's a great idea, but stop. Because my kids will be like, I took a flashlight and some rope. Rope? Well, yeah, it was yarn or something. It'd be like nothing. It won't even hold you up. It's just like, okay, pink yarn and a flashlight. Let's go.
Yeah.
But passing on those things that you love so much and letting your kids see them and hopefully enjoy them with, like toys.
Mhm.
I hated doing it, but I had a couple of old toys from just some like weird single year run of some science fiction show that I don't even remember the name of. Right. But it had its own ships and its own guys.
Okay.
And I love the guys and I love ships, I like to have, like, we always called them our Star Wars men because Star Wars was the biggest one, but
Right.
you get the other smaller shows that would have actually guys whose knees would bend,
Oh yeah.
which is like, oh wow. Cause Star Wars their knees and elbows didn't bend, right?
No.
Or at least not at the time. I don't know if they do it now, but so I had these things for, I don't know, 20 years or so. And it wasn't for my childhood, but I saw them later. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm buying these. And I remember the day I'm like, I'm gonna let the kids have them.
Yeah.
This was such a fun, good thing for me. I want them to have some little action figures to play with, and the ships are really cool, and they're going to get broken. They're going to get busted. They're going to end up in the trash, but I want them to experience it.
Well, that's like they relaunched He-Man Masters of the Universe on Netflix,
Yeah, they did.
Like, I loved that show as a kid. And I was really concerned. I'm like, oh man, is this going to be good? Like, what are they going to do to it? And then when I saw that, like, Kevin Smith was jumping in as the producer for the show, and they had Mark Hamill being Skeletor and stuff like that, I was like, oh my gosh, this show is going to be freaking epic. And it was like, it was everything that you would want it to be and more, because they could do more with it being on Netflix. So it's like when someone got killed, like they literally got killed, and you saw like there was blood involved in it, and it was cool. And I watched that
gritty,
a little more gritty. Yeah. But watch that with we watched that with the kids. I did, and man, both my son and daughter loved it. They enjoyed it so much. My son kept asking, like, are these toys, are you telling me like these are toys that are available? I'm like, dude, I had these toys when I was a kid. Like, I had Castle Grayskull and all that stuff. And
sweet.
And so he was like, oh man. So I don't know if that's something where I'm going to be buying some He-Man toys here soon, or what that is, but my daughter got into the She-Ra reboot that they did.
Yes. Yeah. That was very well done. Very well done.
So they like that as well. So being able to share those things are really cool, because they were so well done. It's like, oh, like, this is good. I can watch these with you and enjoy them too.
Yeah, exactly. And even though I will say in our relationship, Marnie is definitely the fun parent more often, because I am the one that has to, tell them to go to bed, or tell them to get, clean up, or, clean their rooms, or change their clothes, even, or whatever they do. Put on deodorant, you stinky 15-year-old. And I'm the guy that's got to keep kind of be a hard ass on them sometimes. And I do it as lovingly as I can, but Marnie's definitely more fun, because she gets to do all of that kind of stuff, like let's, I don't know what you might do, but let's go. We're going to go on the toboggan ride here in town, this weekend, and she's going to be there. She's like spearheading it almost. And, she'll be the one that they have fun with. And I'll be the one that they bring, oh, my face got wet, can you dry my face, or those kind of things, do we have any snacks, and I'll do all that stuff. But beyond that, though, even though she's probably more the fun parent than I am, because I have to do all the responsible stuff, I also get to be, and I love to be, goofy and silly and just idiotic almost with my kids. Like my youngest will dance to anything at any time. She dances just without music. And I love that, because I can't dance. I don't have the ability to move, but I just, let's get in there and do the dad dance or whatever, do something goofy with her. And to have that time with the kids is one of the things that I love about being a dad, is to be able to find that moment and just be silly. You gotta, like, I took her hat this morning, and she had rolled in the snow and the wood chips and everything. And so I'd taken it off, and I was picking all the wood chips out of it. I finally got it kind of clean, where I didn't feel, like a neglectful parent sending her to school in it, and so I'm like, well, it looks pretty good. And I said, but, I don't think you should wear it. And I put it on my head, and it's a pink, like, fuzzy hat with two little almost bear ears on it or whatever. And I, of course not, I look like an idiot, but, but she died laughing. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dad, I'm going to wear this hat all day. This is what I'm going to wear. And I said, I think I need pink gloves and a pink coat. And she's giggling her head off, trying to eat her breakfast. And she goes, Dad, you look really good in pink. And I'm like, oh, thank you. That's so nice. And she said, but that's my hat.
Yeah.
And it was so deadpan. I'm like, oh, we went from silly to I'm going to murder you, Dad, if you don't give me my pink fuzzy hat back.
Well, my daughter, when my parents were down to visit for Christmas, made the comment that real men wear pink. and
Mm.
it was really funny.
Do it. Yeah.
And so like my dad's eyes kind of like popped a little bit. And I was like, and I looked at her and I was like, do I wear pink? And she was like, yeah, you've worn pink before. And so it was really funny. But I mean, it was really interesting to hear a 6-year-old be like, you know, I forget where she heard it from, but yeah, she was like, real men wear pink. And I'm like, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Like, what a great comment to come from a 6-year-old.
Mhm. Yeah.
Really put a guy back on his heels, honestly.
And I don't know that I have anything I own that's pink, to be honest. I don't look good in pink, I don't think. My daughter's just very kind, but I don't have a problem with it because it's pink.
Right.
You know, I have like a brilliantly bright yellow shirt. Like, do not stare directly into the shirt, right? I mean, your eyes will burn, but it looks good on, or it used to look good on me. I don't know if it looked good these days, but you know, I wore it for years and years, and people are like, wow, that looks really good on you. And for my part, I mean, and this just was the way I was raised, a man wouldn't wear yellow. Why would you wear yellow? Yellow's not a, you know, it's not a man's color kind of thing.
Mm.
And I never had that issue. You know, my mom never said that to me for sure.
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah, you wear what you're going to wear. And honestly, it was my second wife got it for me and put it on. She goes, wow, yeah, you look really good in that, you know? And she was way more fashionable and put together than I've ever been. So, so I took it as a compliment, you know, and I could wear it. And the funny thing is my kids have never had a problem with whatever color they want to wear.
Yeah.
You know, they don't like pink, you know. And did you know, science fact, that girls' eyes, or women's eyes perhaps too, pick up the color pink as more bright than boys' eyes do?
Interesting.
That pink shows up to them more brightly as a brighter color than it does to boys.
Nope, didn't know that, but maybe that's also why people don't see a certain dress one color, or why they see a certain dress one color or another.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, that's that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
What
got off on a little tangent.
No, yeah, you're fine. I'm trying to pull us back in here, you know.
Well, I got one. The thing that I think too is, you know, because I have 4 kids, it's a little bit more imperative that I find or make time to be with each kid as an individual, you know, not as a group, not as a family, but just you and me, kid. And we're going to go do a thing. And it could be, you know, let's go. I got to go get some milk and bread. Just come with me, you know, and we'll just spend that time, and whatever they like to do. Like my you know, like my 9-year-old now, you want to say 8-year-old, he loves to sit in the front seat next to me, you know, in the Suburban, and he's big enough that he can do it in his booster, right? And it's legal. It was legal in Georgia, at least, because we got a little more lax laws about where your kids can sit, I think. But he loved that because it was him and I sharing the truck, sharing the journey, sharing the ride.
Yeah.
And he loved it because it was just him and I, right?
Yep.
And so finding those moments for me, whether it can be like just like an inside joke, you know, that only the two of you really get, or, you know, that story of the time where you went to the park together, or, you know, you took them, like that specific you and me, kid, we're going to go ride our bikes, or we're going to go swimming, and it doesn't matter what you do, but that you've taken time with them as an individual.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And I love that about being a dad.
That's the one thing that Corey and I learned real quick about, you know, when you have multiple kids, is keeping an eye on when you see like the one starting to get jealous of the other one, like, or they feel like more time's being spent on the other one, to be able to take that time and find something fun to do that's centered straight at them. And, you know, we, especially when our daughter came into the picture, it was like, all right, like he's already 2, and obviously is going to feel the lessening of attention on him type of thing, and so we need to figure out something. So Corey had a couple times been like, all right, like we're just gonna go do something, and you know,
nice.
and so that was really cool. And now too, like I've seen it where like we've been in, our zoo has like a high ropes course that they just put in like over by like this, like overlooks like the kangaroo exhibit. And
cool.
He's now tall enough to do it. Like you have to be like 42 inches or whatever it is. And so next spring he was like, I want to go do that. Like, that's what I want to go do. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, so we had tried to plan it before my surgery to go, and it just didn't work out. But yeah, he was like, I want to go do this and this. And I'm like, all right, like, you know, we can just take a day and just do some fun stuff together like that. And I think that just being able to, one, the fact that, you know, your kid wants to hang out with you, you know, how long is that going to last for?
Right.
You know, I hear so many different stories from so many different parents of, you know, my kid's, you know, 7 or 8 years old and doesn't even want to hang out with me anymore, kind of deal. And it's like, you know, I'm like, that would suck. Like, I don't like that idea at all.
Yeah. Yeah. That hurts.
Yeah. Well, and two, like, I mean, our kids don't have a whole lot of neighborhood kids in the area. Just our neighborhood doesn't, like, some of their kids go to like some of the local schools around here. Like our kids go to private schools. So everybody's kind of spread out a little bit more. So it's a little bit different, but yeah, I mean, finding those fun things to do. I enjoy that as a dad, being able to just go do that. Like you said, sharing those kids. Like, you know, my daughter's really amped about the soccer season coming back, and she really wants to go to a game. And
nice.
I'm super excited to, you know, be able to, you know, make that happen, and we can all go to a game and do that kind of thing. So, but it's just neat because my connection with her has pretty much always been watching sports with her. When she was little and wouldn't sleep, I would have her just lay on my stomach and we would watch baseball or whatever was on late into the night until she fell asleep. And then I'd put her in her crib type of deal. And that really seemed to imprint on her.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not the thing that you're doing. It's the time together.
Yeah.
You know, and I learned actually one of the things that 2021 taught me was that the phrase is kids spell love time.
Yep.
You know, and it's time. It's taking time with them, spending time with them, and whatever it is that you're doing. That's why a lot of guys are like, what do I do with my kids? You know, they're young. I want to go. And, you know, like, what do you normally do?
Yeah.
Take your kid with you. Let them experience. You like to go hiking? Take your kid hiking. You know, make proper preparations for, you know, food and hydration and diaper changes. You know, it's going to be more difficult.
Yeah.
But do those things, because that's going to be the things they're going to look back and, you know, with their kids, you know, in 10, 15, 20 years, whenever it is, they're going to look back and go, man, I always remember my dad and I would sit and watch the baseball game or watch the soccer game. And I just loved that. And they won't be able to figure, you know, like put their finger on, this is why I loved it, other than it was me and my dad.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I mean, and I see you see dads like that in the group, you know, they're taking their kids out and doing different things, you know, with them. And it's really cool to see. I know one dad who he's not really connected with the group at all very much, but he's just, you know, he's a outdoor guide, and his kids, like, I think he's close to my son's age, but he's been going out with him and doing like canoe trips and stuff, you know, and it's like they go canoeing on a river where there's alligators, and this kid knows knows what he needs to do. He knows he's smart. He, you know, there's things where, you know, he learns when he does wrong, and there's a teaching moment there and stuff. But yeah, I mean, we've always been very much a, like, take the kids with us and go do things like, and I think that whole idea of like, oh, I've got kids now, I got to do, like, we've got to be in this like certain routine for things.
Right.
And it's like, I love the fact that as a dad, I can be like, you know, I have confidence that we can go do this and be fine. And, you know, if the next day it's going to be like, all right, we're all just lounging because, you know, schedule's off, maybe a little bit sleeping wise or whatever, like, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
We can do that. And too, that goes back to also having good communication with your spouse or partner too, to make sure you're on the same page and that kind of thing. That makes it run a lot smoother. So, but yeah, I mean, I love being able to go do those kind of fun things like that.
We came into this not thinking what we'd have to talk about. We're not feeling it. And now I feel great. I'm so happy that I'm a dad. I love being a father, and I definitely wasn't feeling that when I came into to the room tonight. I was like, man, I could not be a dad. That'd be fine. It was just like, do I need to quit or they need to go? What do we need to, it was not a good day,
Right.
but it was really,
and I will say on the other side of that, there are days where I'm like, what did I get myself into? Why?
Yes.
I don't want to be a parent right now. I don't
Right.
like, why did I agree to this? Like,
Yeah.
and then I'll look over at my wife and go, I'm so sorry. To which she says, you wanted this.
I'm going to put in my letter of resignation, ma'am. I think I've changed my mind.
There's a boarding school, right? That we can send them
right there. Right. Yes. Yeah. Military school, whatever it takes. They'll take care of them. It'll be fine.
So I just wanted to put that in there for any dads who are like, wow, it sounds really joyous what they're going through. No, trust me. Like,
no. Yeah.
There are days where I am like throat or neck deep in the muck.
Yes.
And yeah, wanting to give my kid to the next postman that comes through, be like, return to sender.
Right. I'm going to put you in a box with a bunch of stamps on it and we'll just see where you go. It'll be an adventure.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Send off to Siberia.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other side of the coin too. Like there are just days where you're like, oh my gosh, like, didn't I love you yesterday? I'm not sure if that's the case right now. You're making it very difficult.
I believe in the multiverse now because yesterday you were an awesome kid and today you're a monster. And evidently somebody stepped on a butterfly in a different universe and you showed up.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Spider-Man, for screwing that up for all of us.
Right.
Jeez. Can't put that back in the box. Oh, back in the box.
Bingo.
Good night. So yeah,
good times.
But it also too, they're like it's like Venom, like one minute they're totally cool, the next minute they're a complete monster. But yeah, I mean, it is good. And it's funny that we didn't really have anything planned to talk about, but I definitely feel much better for sure having this conversation.
Right.
So, which is also too, so to kind of, I guess, lightly roll it in, like, it's one of those things where then when you come around other dads and have conversations, like, you kind of bring this stuff up, or like for me, like I go straight from here into hosting the dad lounge, and it's nice to be able to talk about some of that stuff with the guys in there. And, we get some new guys from time to time that come in. And so it's nice to be able to share some new stories and hear new things from them.
Yeah. So. And the realization that you're not alone, whether it's the great and wonderful and amazing things you did with your kids today, or, the fact that they spelled their name in poop on the new carpet, whatever it is, there's another dad there, that's been like, oh it wasn't his whole name, but it was just his initial. Yeah. I mean, you're not alone. Parents across the board, not just dads, of course. Our focus is definitely dads, but just being a parent, it's the same anywhere in the world. Kids are wonderful monsters.
Yep. Pretty much. Yep. But that's okay though. Yeah,
it is. I love it. I wouldn't change it.
Because the other part of it is that they're a mirror image of us.
Yeah.
That's the other part. Arguing. It's really scary when you like see them do something. You're like, oh, that's me. Sorry about that.
Yep. Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think that the takeaway from this conversation, honestly, is I hope for guys, dads, just is that, look for those moments where what is it that what's the joy that you get out of being a dad, and also to know that when days are bad, you're not alone. Like, everybody else and everybody's going through it, and reach out to somebody. I know there have been many a times where myself and other dads have been like, I'm just going to hop on here. I just got to tell everybody what's going on. Or maybe you have a brain fart moment, like, my wife and I did on Monday, and we totally forgot that our kids didn't need to go to school or whatever. But making fun of it and just making light of it, and chalking it up to just another parenthood memory moment is always a good thing. So hopefully that's what the listeners get out of this. And it's only the this is like the second episode of the year now for us. So
I think so.
which is crazy. Also, too, like I was thinking about this, because I do all the editing for our show and stuff. But I actually, after our 50th episode, I pushed us into season 2 without really making any like sort of announcement into like, hey, it's season 2. But yeah,
it's fun.
which is all good. I figured, it's been a year, so we can kick off season 2. So, which is fine. I mean, it's 2022 part 2.
Yep.
Oh man. Well, anyway, before we really start dribbling off into things that are just
the whiskey's kicking in. The bourbon's bourbon. The bourbon's kicking in.
there you go. Well,
Getting
hey,
goofy.
Everybody have a great week, and also too, like, definitely shoot us a message, and we, like I said, we want to hear your goals. We haven't heard anything about that yet. And I've got mine set. I'm looking at losing some weight and getting into being more active and running and things like that. Danny already said on his last one that he's going to be working on writing a book. And so hopefully we get to hear some of that along the year and see what's going on with it.
I'm hoping, man. I'm just like, I don't think I should have said that out loud.
You're fine. You're getting you're getting an office, man. You're gonna have space for it. So.
Right. I'm gonna have a closet size room that I can write in, and that'll be honestly, that's all I need anyway.
Bigger than Harry Potter's room, right? Like,
exactly. It's not under the stairs. It's perfect.
There you go. Well, then there you go. All right. Well, hey, until next week, y'all have a good one.
Yep. Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.